Big dog.
Happy
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dave. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, man.
God
Thank
bless
you
man.
so much.
None of this would be happening without you.
That's right. Thanks, brother.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Doug the Hug Jones.
Doug, I love that.
It's patented. He's just the nicest man. Yeah. And since he's come around the conventions, it's been a real honor to meet him and get to know him. He's an actor's actor.
I had a chance to speak with him on the cruise. On
yes,
stage,
you did, didn't you? Yeah.
And he's just he's a wonderful guest, and I mean, the kindest human.
Yes.
He's top 5 on my list. He's just a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
And uber talented.
Yeah.
That's what I want to get into. I mean, how he gets to where he does.
Yeah. He's his work ethic is extraordinary, and he's got this reputation for all the hours he sits in those makeup chairs, and sometimes can't sit, has to, crouch. Never complains.
Yeah.
Not a word. Can't wait. You're gonna love it.
You're gonna love it.
Jones.
Hey everyone, Connor here. We just want to take a moment to thank you so very much for tuning in and being a part of the Decon Chamber family. Your support keeps us going, and we couldn't do this without you.
And if you love what we do and want to help us even more, please consider joining us on Patreon. You'll get exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and even opportunities to chat with us directly.
And don't forget to check out our awesome merch, because who doesn't want to rep their favorite podcast in style, baby?
Every little bit helps, I promise you. And we're really very, very grateful for all of you who make this show possible. So thanks for being there, and please enjoy this episode of the Decon Chamber.
The show has begun. Set your phasers to fun. You're guaranteed for a trip. Step into the Decon with Connor and Dom. It's the Decon Chamber.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Trekkies and Trekkers, welcome back to another episode of the Decon Chamber. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Mr. Connor Trinneer.
Ayo. And Mac tonight.
I forgot. He must have bought a house on that. The house that Mac built. I'm Dominic Keating, your other co-host. Today, our guest is an actor, a contortionist, a mime artist, a true chameleon of the screen. You've seen him as Commander Saru in Star Trek Discovery, but he's also brought stunning performances as the Faun and the Pale Man in Pan's Labyrinth, the Amphibian Man in The Shape of Water, and Billy Butcherson in Hocus Pocus, Abe Sapien in Hellboy 1 and 2, and my favourite, frankly, in What We Do in the Shadows. The list goes on. While well known for his extraordinary work under layers of prosthetics, his talents extend far beyond. His ability to convey human emotion and depth demonstrates that he's not just a master of transformation, but a true artist in every sense. He's notably a favourite of director Guillermo del Toro, who has featured him for about 30 years now. He also has a unique place in the hearts of fans everywhere, and those lucky enough to encounter him are soon enveloped in the patented Doug hug. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Mr. Doug Jones, an actor who's made his career of being kind, reliable, and frankly, breathtakingly unforgettable.
Thank you, Doug.
I know it's taken a little time to get this all sorted out, but
we worked it out.
It's a pleasure, mate.
And thank you
It
for
really
having me, and thank you for that very eloquent introduction that I feel very undeserving of. I'm going to live up to that, but we could be done right now. After all that, thank you. And good night.
So I was discussing outside. What's the latest and earliest call times you've ever had?
Oh gosh, well when you've had a career under lots of rubber bits, your call times can be all over the place, depending. Now, latest call time would be for a night shoot, probably. But
Right.
Let's go earliest. That's going to be the one that makes people like go, what?
Yeah.
And actually, the earliest call time with the most horrible scenario. I was on Hellboy 2, The Golden Army,
Right.
and I just wrapped at about 11:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night. I think
The night before.
I'm getting into the car.
Yeah.
Second AD comes to hand me my call sheet for the next day. I was getting picked up from the hotel at 1:30 a.m. And I was like, why did I take the makeup off?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that doesn't happen often because
How
there's
does that? I mean, okay, what sort of deal do you get? Organised. I mean, that we used to call that the sofa
a forced call.
The new couch.
We used to call that on our show. I'm getting a sofa from IKEA this week.
right. Well, on Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, that was a 6-month shoot in Budapest, Hungary, and they did that to me. Not that badly, but it's supposed to have 12 hours off between your work days.
Yeah.
And I often had less than that, to the point where I made like half my salary again in forced call penalties over the 6 months. So there's a lot. It was almost happened every day.
And you don't sleep.
No, I didn't sleep that year. But but you know what, Dominic? Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
Hi.
I'm Connor.
Oh, hey, Connor. Good to see you. Connor, Dominic. When you have gone through that kind of like hell, and
Hellboy 1 and 2.
Hellboy 1 and 2, and you watch the finished product, that's when you say, oh, okay, that's why I made. That's what the sacrifice was all about.
What was the longest amount of time that you've been in the chair?
Oh, well, that would also be in the Hellboy franchise. Hellboy 1 was...
you played 2 characters, is that right? Pan's Labyrinth was 2. You played...
Right. Guillermo del Toro does this to me. I've done 6 of his films, and in 3 of them, I played multiple characters.
Right.
So, Pan's Labyrinth, yes, I played El Fauno and the Pale Man.
Pale Man.
And in...
he was a scary mother.
Yes, thank you.
Of all the characters,
I will take it.
That's right, yeah.
Oh yeah. And in Hellboy 1, I just played Abe Sapien. In Hellboy 2, I played Abe Sapien, the Angel of Death, and the Chamberlain, 3 characters. And then in Crimson Peak, I believe I played 2 of the ghost ladies in his haunted house story there.
The first thing you ever did for him was in Mimic, wasn't it?
That's
Mimic.
correct. Right.
Yeah.
I was a overgrown cockroach in the subways of New York City,
which
is plausible.
Were you called in? How did you meet him first? I'm trying to remember. I do know this story. Yeah.
On Mimic, he didn't know who I was, and I didn't know who. It was early 1997, so it's a long time ago.
You've done a few.
I've done a few things, right?
Yeah.
Right. Enough that the
You've
creature
done the
effects,
Batman. Yeah.
I did. Right. I done Batman Returns. I done Hocus Pocus 1.
Right.
I had done. I had.
Had you done Mac Tonight yet?
Yes, I had.
Yes, you had
that
Mac
its course.
That came to England.
Yes, it did.
You saw it?
That commercial went worldwide.
That's where I first met you.
That's where you first met me? On TV?
Tonight, on your TV. Yeah.
Yeah, 27 commercials as the Moonhead guy over a 3-year period.
27?
That's how I bought my first house.
And I was going to say the Mac House.
And back in the day, Doug, you could make some money on commercials.
That's when they ran them a lot on network television, and you got the
kidding.
residuals. Pie was bigger then.
Yeah.
But longest was Hellboy 1 because Abe Sapien, my blue fish guy character, when I was just wearing shorts, it was 7 hours a day. 12 prosthetic pieces from head to toe with 3 makeup artists working around me, standing or squatting on a stool for 7 hours before the day started. Now, mind you, most people comment on that going, I could never sit still that long. Right? What do you do during that time? I love doing nothing. I'm really good at staring at a wall and drooling on myself.
Perfect.
So I'm actually built for this. And because the makeup artists are the ones doing all the work during that time. And my work starts when they're done. And then the hard part for me is then wearing it, staying fresh, as an actor. Under this, you're hotter than you want to be, you're stickier than you want to be, you're heavier than you want to be. So all that plays into where's my energy going to come from? I don't know.
Where do you find it?
It's the hard part. Well, you try to. You're sleep deprived on shoots like that often, so you just I don't know. I kind of lift my eyes and go,
amazing,
God, help me
isn't it?
through. Yeah.
Yeah, and oddly enough, sometimes the what is it? The force of that, you get some of your best work when you're up against the wall of it. And,
you don't have the energy to fake it. You have to be your genuine thing comes out.
Yeah, it doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does.
It's a freedom. That's what it is.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So you met him. He called you in, didn't he? Because they needed
he personally
a tall, skinny guy.
Right. They'd shot the first they'd shot the principal photography of Mimic up in Toronto, up in Canada. Now they're doing pickup shots to finish out the movie with inserts here and there 2 weeks before it came out in theaters. So I got a call from Rick Lazarini's Creature Shop saying, "Hey, Doug, are you free tonight to do a night shoot?"
They wouldn't fly the Canadian down.
That's why.
Is that what it is?
Right. That's it. Well, it was all money.
It was. I guess it was his first project in America, and it was under some sort of,
Guillermo del Toro's first American studio film,
right.
But they shot it in Canada because it was cheaper there. And the Canadian actor who played the overgrown creature bug guys in the movie, they would have to fly him, hotel him, per diem him, and salary him, and work permit him to come down to America for that shoot. So they can knock a lot of that out and just give a salary to one guy who's local. Right. Tall, skinny Rolodex comes out, and who do they pick? Doug. So that's why.
And it was the creature department. What do they call
Rick Lazzarini. It was a creature effects.
Knew about you.
Well, did you read for it?
No. I just got a call. Can you come down now? Because the creature effects community knew me by then.
It was a night shoot, wasn't it?
And it was a night shoot. So their referrals, their referrals are good enough for the director.
Are you free?
Yeah. And so I was, and I ended up going down to downtown LA to stand on top of a 4-story brick
in
building.
a rainstorm.
Fake rain, but it was a rain machine. Del Toro likes to put rain in all of his movies.
Yes,
it's always raining and like, So I was just, getting pelted with rain and had a little bug mask on with a sort of a shroud that looked like a trench coat over wings. It was kind of that's why the name Mimic, right? We cockroaches were mimicking humans. And
So no time to really delve into how you might do this. It was just get it and go.
Right. It was like that day, drive down, I had no information about this movie at all or the character. So when I get there, so it was explained to me briefly, your cockroach is grown up and you kind of stand like a man. So it's kind of confusing when you look at it. So just stand on the edge of this building and look over the side. That's all I had to do in that shot. And apparently Guillermo was like, "Oh, thank heaven," because they had tried to get an extra in before me. And which I would have done too to save money. It's a non-speaking thing. It's a long shot away, far away. Who do we know at Central Casting that might fit this costume, right? So apparently they got somebody in who Guillermo wanted him to lean with his entire body from the ankles, and he was leaning from the hips. And he tried to yell up in the megaphone, "No, can you do the whole body from the ankles?" And the guy goes, yeah. From the hips, right? So it was like, so that's why I got the call the same day. It's like, we tried this last night. It's not working. Can you come in? Right. So
it's amazing that, isn't it? When you either have the bone to know what to do or you don't have the bone. We talked about this so many times.
It seems simple to me, but not everybody has that second nature about what to do with their body. Right. Yeah. There was the same guy was called in for 2 more days on Mimic as well.
And he loved you, didn't he?
We hit it off right away
together, didn't you? Yeah.
I had lunch on my second day.
Yeah.
I hadn't really my first night on the top of that building, I had no idea who the director was. Second day was on a green screen close up of the face, kind of a quick shot.
I'm sorry. You had no idea who the director was, and you were like hired to be a large cockroach, and you said, "Going in."
Out of work actor? Of course I did.
Yeah.
Right. You'd have done the same thing.
Yeah, you're right.
What are they paying?
Exactly. Just go towards my
It's
insurance.
a night shoot. Okay, I got a bump.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, then once that went well.
Damn, I did a drag act. I mean, come on.
Right? Are they paying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put my lipstick on and show up.
Right. Yeah.
So the next day was they since it went well the first night, I came back the next day to do the close-up shot, and that's when Guillermo sat across the lunch table from me. And he said, "So tell me everything you've been in before." And I'm like, so I started listing those, Batman Returns, and I did Hocus Pocus, the first one. "Oh, did Tony Gardner do the makeup on that? I like his work. Is he a nice guy?" So we had that conversation going. He loved
Couple of nerds, just nerding.
He loved monsters and creatures and wanted to hear all about what I've done. So I knew I liked this guy, but is he really the director of the movie, or is he a fanboy that snuck in? That's what you know what I mean. Really, that's what I was thinking. Like, who?
Are you really?
Yeah.
Am I wasting the prime rib here?
Because it's getting cold. I was wondering, like, I've never met a director like him before. He was such a fan, and come to find out, knowing him over these 25 years, he's a fanboy first, and he makes movies that will make him have a geekgasm. He said this before, and if he gets a geekgasm, maybe the audience will too. That's his hope, right? And we have.
Right.
He was part of that trio, wasn't he, out of Mexico City? Cuarón.
They call themselves the Three Amigos. Yes. Alfonso Cuarón and Inarritu.
Inarritu.
Alphonse.
Alfonso Cuarón. Something Inarritu.
Inarritu, yeah.
Floyd Inarritu.
Floyd, sure.
And himself.
Yes, and they've all been through the award season many times together, and
So then you gave him your business card, didn't you?
I did at that lunch date. On the set. And I was like, he asked me, do you have a card? So I gave him that card. And then it was 5 years later on the
He kept that card in his wallet for 5 years.
On the first Hellboy movie. Then
I just love it. And that's when he called you up for Hellboy. You started in mime. Where did you go? I know you were the Cardinal at
Charlie the
Ball
Cardinal
State.
at
Charlie
Ball
the
State.
Cardinal,
I
weren't
was
you?
Charlie Cardinal at Ball State University.
Was that really the like, oh, this is fun?
It was, yeah, because I'd seen Charlie Cardinal at football and basketball games when I was a freshman and sophomore, and I was like, gosh, I could do better probably. As an actor, we all think I could do that. Probably I could up the game. So I actually auditioned to be Charlie Cardinal my freshman year for my sophomore year, and they denied me. So I came back at the end of my sophomore year with a vengeance. I'm going to be one of those Charlie. So they had a different Charlie Cardinal for football and for basketball. So I became the basketball Charlie.
Because of
Much better for the weather.
It was.
Better for the weather.
Yeah, and way more games too.
Yeah.
And I ended up infusing lots of performance into Charlie that the previous ones hadn't.
Right.
When the band was playing, I would go out and dance on the floor. When the four sleepers were coming through at halftime, I would follow them around and play with them and had like a bit going. I was passed up the stands. I worked out a routine with the Pom Pom Girls when they did their little dance number. I was a crowd pleaser.
Right.
I'll pat myself on the back for that. And
did you? What were you studying at Ball State? Was it?
Well, I was majoring in radio and TV broadcasting.
Right.
Now called telecommunications or the TCOM.
Right.
And my minor was in theater.
Right. So there was a thought there that.
Yeah. No, I wanted to major in theater, but mom and dad were like, "Oh, honey, no one gets a job in that." So Indiana parents, why I couldn't blame them now, right?
No, because your brothers are all quite sort of serious people, aren't they? One's a microbiologist. Or...
Yes, he has a PhD in molecular biology, correct?
Yeah.
And my other brother is an MBA, business master's, and my other brother is a licensed therapist with his master's degree. So I'm the most uneducated of the four.
And how do you fall in?
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
Yeah. So
And when did you start your performing?
After Cardinal, what happened?
Well, in high school. Yeah, I started on the high school stage. Yeah,
Right.
I went, performing at pep rallies, doing funny little skits, or the fall play, or the variety show in the spring. Whatever my school, it's a small Catholic high school, so whatever they could afford to put on, I was in it.
Right.
Are you Catholic or you're Southern Baptist? I read somewhere. Is it?
Not Southern. I'm a generic Christian.
Generic Christian.
Yeah.
And you're still practicing, aren't you?
I'm a churchgoer.
You're quite religious. I know Guillermo was worried about when it got to The Shape of Water.
This came up. It did. Yeah.
This came up.
Also, the pale man, pale boy,
Pale man.
I mean, the one who eats the kids.
Yeah.
How do you go? Mom, I got this great part in a great movie,
Right.
and I eat children.
Yeah, pleasing my mom was a tough one with my career. So when I did The Silver Surfer, she was like, "Oh, finally something I like." Bless her heart. But God rest her soul.
The body of Christ, son.
God rest her soul. That's what you're eating. You're terrible, Dominic.
Terrible, aren't I?
Terrible.
I'm a Catholic, mate.
But when Guillermo, we were working on The Crimson Peak. And I had a day off, and he called me in to have lunch with him in his office that day in the studio. Dougie, come in, shut the door. I want to tell you about my next movie. And he's saying he wanted to go small scale again, budget wise, and do something creative from his heart that would be an artistic. And I was like, oh, it's about time. He hadn't done that since Pan's Labyrinth. He'd been doing big studio productions since then. So that's when he pitched me the idea of The Shape of Water. He wanted me to play the lead Fishman in it. So I said, Fishman, haven't I done that for you before? He goes, no, different character, totally. okay, got it. So, and he said,
Much better ass.
Yeah. And he said, Dougie, you're going to be much better ass. You're going to be the romantic leading man of this movie, is what he said. I'm like, in a fish suit. Okay, just start talking. So he said, well, the reason he wanted to have this chat with me was he was long before, he didn't have a script yet. So it seemed like a premature conversation. but he said he wanted to clear
He was
it.
going Mike Lee.
Yeah, but but he was saying, I wanted to check with you first because I know you're a good Catholic boy. That's how he knew it. And he said, I wanted to make sure this was going to be okay. I said, well, what do you want me to do in this movie? He said, well, can I use the F word?
Yeah.
No, there's an F
There's one, no, because boom. Okay, it's a precursor. Well, Guillermo speaks. I've always said he's trilingual. He speaks Spanish, English, and the F word with fluidity.
Right.
So,
A lot of bright people do.
yeah, sure. Yeah,
I don't swear. Oddly.
So to quote Guillermo, oddly, yes, you do. Oddly enough,
He's a sweetheart.
Guillermo said when I was like, well, what do you want me to do? And they said, well, there's a scene. Okay, what do you mean, like doggy style? What? And he said, no, it's in a bathtub.
I hadn't thought about that, but a good idea.
It's a good idea. And he said, no, it's in the bathtub. I'm like, okay, well, how about you start at the beginning and get me to the bathtub? So that's when he did. So it was story time with Guillermo del Toro, and he just verbally told me the story, how it was going to start and middle and end. And I was like, I had tears welling up. I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Beautiful film.
Right, thank
It
you.
is. It's
I
a
think so
stunning
too.
film. Your performance in it is absolutely spellbinding.
bless you.
Along with Sally's. I mean, she is.
Oh, Sally Hawkins is divine. Yeah. So I told him. I called it before anybody else did. This verbal storytelling in his office, and I said, "This is your next trip to the Oscars."
Yeah.
13 nominations and 4 wins,
Yes,
including
right.
Best Director, Best Picture. Come on now, I was right.
yeah.
I hit that one.
So what was the germination of you working together? Was it the first film? How you've done 6, right? Together.
Yeah.
It's like, well, after that mimic story,
Yeah.
he kept my card in his wallet, and then 5 years later, when the first Hellboy comes up for pre-production, Spectral Motion Creature Shop was designing Abe Sapien for the Hellboy movie. And they hadn't really shown Guillermo the maquette yet. Yeah, the sculpture of what this character would look like in 3 dimensions. So they have like a scaled down, and they called him into the office. We have a final sculpture done. What do you think? And they unveiled it for him, and he said, "Oh." And a story has it that he fell to his knees and said, "You are so beautiful, and I am so fat." So
He is 300 pounds.
So yeah,
He's a big man.
and he's so self-effacing with his humor. He's a delightful, humble man. So everyone laughs in there, and they go, we know the perfect guy to play this. That would be Doug Jones, because I'd worked with everybody in the Creature Shop before, the sculptor and Mike Elizalde, the Creature Shop owner, and the sculptor was Jose Fernandez, and
Mike Hill was.
Mike Hill came in Shape of Water.
Came in Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
Right.
So oh God, I'm trying to think of the other name of that. But anyway,
It gets to that age, doesn't it?
it's all going. But they
God damn, I couldn't think of Beyonce the other day.
right. So they Steve Wang. That's it. Thank you.
Steve
I got it. Steve Wang designed.
It's all in
Yes, it's on there. So they give me a call during that little meeting. Because my name had come up, and Guillermo said, "With Doug Jones, I know Doug Jones," and that's when my card came out of his wallet.
Wow.
And they called me right away,
That's
and I was like, "Yeah, well, can you come in tomorrow and see us?" And so I met Guillermo again 5 years after I'd met him on Mimic, and so working on Hellboy 1 together was what really cemented our. And we developed our little shorthand language on set. He has to direct me very little, which is very sweet. A lot of prep talk and.
You're a very diligent actor when it comes to this, because you treat these, monsters, if you will, or whatever, creatures, you like the actual human characters.
So does Guillermo del Toro, and that's
right,
why he writes them
right.
that way.
And that's a beautiful thing, and I admire that work ethic, that you're not just showing up and
No, thank you.
Do you get to rehearse before you do it?
It all depends on the movie and the time you have. So with Del Toro, a lot of the rehearsal might take place at the Creature Shop when you're going through your fittings. For instance, on that first Hellboy movie, once they said, "Yes, you're the guy to play this," the fittings started, and I know he was a fish-man hybrid. Okay, and he was just found, so he doesn't have much backstory. So how would he express himself physically? And so I was in for a fitting at the Creature Shop, and they all had fashioned the head and the webbed fingers. Hand gloves, and they didn't have the rest of it all built yet. So I was shirtless, wearing a pair of shorts, hands and head on, and they had a big full-length mirror in the back of the shop, and I was standing in front of it kind of going, thinking about my goldfish at home in the tank. Like, oh, I love their curious heads, and I love their flowy fins. So I thought, how do I work all of that in together,
There she is.
So I'm doing this, and I hear a voice from across the room. I like that. Keep that in. Guillermo had snuck in that day, and he was spying on me.
Oh my gosh.
And that's the last we ever talked about Abe Sapien's persona. It's like,
really?
Yeah, it was very short, but he was written in a way that, and we did have a quick conversation about him being very studied. He reads 3 books at a time. He's very cultured. He listens to classical music. So that was his gentlemanly self was there. Right. He's the calming influence on the Hellboy team because Ron Perlman's Hellboy was very brutish and cigar smoking, beer drinking, and cussing.
Ron's fun, isn't he?
And
he's such an actor's actor.
And Ron has said this when we were doing Hellboy 2, especially. He said, you and I are much like our characters in real life. I said, I know, right? Because he does cuss and smoke cigars, and
such a hoot. I did Sons of Anarchy with him, and he couldn't have been more beautiful and just fun to be. Doesn't take it too seriously.
I guest starred on an episode of Sons of Anarchy, and he didn't know I was coming in that day.
Oh,
they cast me, and I kind of snuck into the makeup trailer, going, "Hey!" He's like, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I'm your prison guard today."
It's gonna be a long day. It's gonna be a tough day.
Yeah, it was a tough day.
Are you a comic book fan?
I haven't been I study what comic books I need to get the job done when I'm in a comic book, centric movie or TV show.
I wondered about the Silver Surfer,
right?
And
that
and how I would have thought, Silver Surfer, Marvel Universe. Well, I'm going to move to the hills.
So that's the only one that Marvel, in its wisdom, didn't take up from, and make it part of the Marvel actual universe as we know it.
Right. Well,
Why not?
Marvel Studios didn't come about until after that. After the Fantastic Four.
What's his name? Something Story directed it, didn't it?
Tim Story.
Tim Story.
Right.
So Fox.
That's one of the last times you were going to get dubbed as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll get to the dubbing.
Okay.
That was Lawrence Fishburne, wasn't it? A good person to be dubbed by.
Actor, my gosh, yes. But no actor wants to see the part of the performance missing. But with so many questions. Okay, so wait a second. What happened here? Silver Surfer. Yes, when I was cast as the Silver Surfer, I went to a comic book store. I'd heard of that character before and didn't really remember his origins or what. So I go into a comic book store in Burbank, and I asked the kid at the counter, like, okay, here's the deal. I just got cast in the movie. It's the Silver Surfer. What do you have?
And
he's
his
like,
head.
the kid, he imploded. Yeah. So he goes back to, we go back to the here. So he sent me home with, some anthologies of the Fantastic Four, where I was introduced and what spun off from there. So I saw the original, like, Stan Lee writing and Jack Kirby artwork.
Amazing.
So that was great to study, and seeing these very balletic poses that he had drawn, and the writing was so poetic about how he waxed about the human condition and from his alien observations of us. So it was like I got a lot from the comic books to take into the movie with me, for sure.
And they could have CGI'd a lot of, but it was all costume.
It was a combo platter.
It was a bit of a combo.
Yeah. It started. I was in a rubberized costume makeup every day, so I looked like the Silver Surfer walking out of the trailer every day. They did a CG coating on me that looked like it was very CG. They did a couple of tests on it.
Did it help on set that you were actually in costume?
Me, yes.
Yeah,
totally.
And other actors.
This is the Silver Surfer. Yeah, it helped it.
Right. Yeah, no kidding.
'Cause I was hot looking. They gave me a very handsome face and a great body. Right. So a lot of the, I remember we had when we were doing a street scene on the streets of Vancouver, we had some extras that were going, and I got a lot of like.
How you doing?
A lot of our background actors, and it's like if they knew what little old skinny man was in here, they would not be impressed at all.
There's a lovely quote in that mime book. You said, "I'm sorry I argued with you, God, about the tall skinny thing." But it seems you had it all worked out.
Turns out
after
you were
all.
right. Yeah.
I just thought it touched my heart, mate. It really did.
Thank you.
Think that the Silver Surfer with the Fantastic Four was going to...
Oh, of course I did. Well, in fact, I had a 3-picture deal when I went into that.
Did you?
So they were going to spin the Surfer off to have his own movie.
Right.
And I had.
Do you know what happened?
I was already in contract for that and a sequel to that. So I don't know what happened. I mean, that's above my pay grade, those decisions. Yeah. So after the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, the sequel, I think it underperformed the first one, but it still made hundreds of millions of dollars, but it didn't do as well as the first one. So I don't know if they pulled the plug or what. I don't know. It's not my decision to make. But I heard there was a script written, and that's all. All grapevine stuff. So I have no proof of anything. But that's the last call I got for him.
And it was David Hyde Pierce, wasn't it, that dubbed you in? Was he Abe?
David Hyde Pierce dubbed me over. Okay, so voice stories.
Let's get over this.
All right. Well,
and then Pedro Aldan. I mean, admittedly, the Spanish. You learned it in Spanish, didn't you? For Hellboy. Sorry, Pan's Labyrinth.
I did. El Laberinto del Fauno. Yeah. I did. So I've been dubbed over a couple times.
Yeah.
The misconception is that I'm always dubbed over because of those couple times that were in big movies. If you look at my IMDb, they're all my voice except for boom, 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 and that's it, right? So
now you've got it written in.
Well, because of
take
that,
me or don't take me.
Yeah. It's like if you want me to play the part, I'm playing the part.
Yeah.
If you don't want me to play the voice, then that's not me
I'm not
at all. Yeah. So that's in my contracts. Yeah,
good.
Thankfully, but Hellboy 1. When I get in, by the time that call came to me, can you come in and let's have a look at you for Abe Sapien? They had already, the studio, which was Sony Pictures, had already discussed, get somebody who can play him physically and let's get a voiceover person, because it was so, Hellboy looked like Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
Abe Sapien didn't look like anybody, right? So you're not going to get an A-list actor to go, completely obliterate me.
Right.
And so they kind of figured the math out on that ahead of time.
Voice recognition factor,
Who can we market voice-wise, and then who can we get to play? So
it's understandable.
So from a studio, if I was a producer, I'd probably think the same way without knowing it. And then so when that was explained to me on that first, I'm going to come in and look at you today. Hey, hi, here I am. Oh, you're perfect. Yeah. Here's the deal, Doug, said Guillermo del Toro. The studio's already talking about voicing you over someone famous. I'm like, oh, crap. So this is 2002. I'm hearing this. So I didn't have a name I'd done a few things, but I wasn't like Doug Jones. So I don't know if I still am or not, but then I really wasn't. And so I was like, oh gosh, I said verbally out loud, oh, please don't do that. I would love to do the entire role. How is this going to work? And so Guillermo said, if you give us the voice we need for this part, then I will.
So you had a shot.
We'll throw your name in the bucket with all the other names they were considering. So I didn't have a prayer. They were considering Kevin Spacey, Steve Buscemi, and David Hyde Pierce. And so so my name didn't really hold up in that bucket of names.
There's names.
But when it was done, when the movie was done and finished, everybody loved what I did, both visually and
vocally,
audibly. Yeah. Right. So I was the first one called in to do my ADR voice looping. I came in and cleaned up.
Maybe it was going to go.
Right. I cleaned up all my own dialogue. And even that day, going through it without rubber on my nose, I had a clean face to do all this dialogue. The sound engineer came out during lunchtime and said, Doug, I don't know, it's not my place to say, but this is really good. You're really doing great. It was sweet. I mean, he hears voices all day.
Yeah, all day long.
Sure.
So that's a compliment. So
and to do the ADR. ADR is not
easy.
Skill. It's a skill.
Yeah. And so I'm driving home thinking, they need to look no further. I think I got it, right? Well, 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later, Guillermo del Toro, being the gentleman that he is, though, he called me up himself the day before the news came out in the trades that it was going to be David Hyde Pierce's voice after all. And I said, okay, thank you so much for calling me and letting me know that I would have hated to read this without a word from you. But is it a performance issue? Is there something we need to talk about that I can learn from? As an actor, you'd want to know, right?
Sure, absolutely.
So he said, nope, everybody loved everything you did. And he said it was simply a studio choice that...
and props to David Hyde Pierce, he didn't take a credit.
Well, there's the follow-up to this.
I really love that.
That I was surprised by, yeah.
He's a mensch, isn't he?
Unneeded. He didn't have to do what he did, but...
No, but he's an actor's actor.
Yes, obviously, right?
There you go.
So David Hyde Pierce comes into... He's the voice that Guillermo most wanted out of the other three that were mentioned. So David Hyde Pierce comes in and he sees me on the ADR screen, sees what I'm doing, and he heard my performance that I'd just given, right? And he's like in his earpiece. So legend has it, he said, "What am I doing here?" Right? Very sweet of him. So he didn't see any need to dub over me. And so then he realized he was just there for his name recognition, and plus he did a great job. He's got a gorgeous voice, and he's got such character behind him, and he's brilliant. I loved him on Frasier, and he was at the height of his fame. The last season of Frasier, I think, had just aired, if I'm not mistaken. So
I got Taft-Hartley'd on Frasier.
Oh, did you? Oh, how fun, right?
Walking across the glass screen in the radio station.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Literally was the first thing I ever did in town.
I love it.
Yeah, and I f***ed it up.
God, doing a live taping, live studio audience. Sorry, that's hilarious.
All the other extras are, apparently there's a big shot from London over here.
And he's effing it up.
Oh, he's
here's your bomb. Anywho, so when the movie then was coming out, David Hyde Pierce, actually, his name didn't show up in the credits, not the front main titles or the crawling credits at the end. His name, and he didn't show up at the red carpet to do any press or premiere. He didn't do the press junket, nothing. And when asked why, he said it's out of respect to Doug Jones. He didn't want to take the thunder.
Oh,
it's like, that's he certainly could have and should. He did a brilliant job with the voice, and he should have taken credit for it. But the fact that he didn't is just like, I've never met him to this day, and when I do, he's getting a kiss right there.
That's right.
Thank you.
He's just a gent.
I mean, were you just devastated?
And well, because I knew what this was going to mean. I knew here we are right now. It's 2025. This was 03. The movie came out, right? So what is that? It's 22 years later.
20 years, baby.
22 years later now, and we're still talking about it. That's what I knew was going to happen, right? And I was like, I'm going to have to answer this for the rest of my career, right?
Right.
So
sorry.
No. But it does confuse the audience, and so it needs talking out.
But the story actually is lovely. That I love the fact that it was nothing to do with your performance, and it was purely. And I'm sure the film still. Everyone who went to see it recognized the voice. They just didn't realize, and God bless him, he didn't put himself in the credits.
He's on IMDb because the people figured it out, and anyone can add to that. But
and the story's out. And now the story actually is beneficial.
But
if you will.
During that phone call with Guillermo del Toro, he said, if we get the chance to do a Hellboy 2, I will keep your voice intact for that.
Right.
He lived up to that.
There it is.
That is, in Hellboy 2, that is me, visual and audio.
Yeah. And
let's talk about Saru then.
Okay. Speaking of loving Huggy.
I mean, crikey, tottering around on those Lee Bowery in high heels for 12 hours a day. That can't have been easy.
Can you describe them?
Yeah. Saru, right. Again, having the meeting with when the show started, it was being developed by Brian Fuller and Alex Kurtzman.
You're right.
So Brian Fuller was the first showrunner before he was replaced somewhere.
Did he cast you, as it were?
He cast me. He came looking for me, yes. So it was very sweet of him. Kind of like I had a meeting with him and two of his head writers in a conference room, and they were pitching the show to me. I didn't have to audition for it. I'm like, are you sure this is a Star Trek show?
Things is changing.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, maybe I'll think about it. But so in that first meeting, I saw a maquette, a sculpture of what Saru might look like, and I saw those hoof boots. And I said, that could be a problem. What are those? What are the feet? What are the feet doing? Yeah, so it was a high heel shoe without a heel.
Yeah.
And so they said, it's like a high heel shoe without a heel, like Lady Gaga wears sometimes on stage. I'm like, well, if Gaga can do it. Right? You know what I'm saying?
I got this.
Right. So in my first costume fitting, there was a mock-up of what the boots might be. They were like in light blue neoprene, just so the cobbler making the shoes wanted to see, is this going to work? And so he had tried them out ahead of time, and so I slipped them on for the first time. They were my perfect size, and I was like, okay, here goes. And I stood up, and the cobbler said, it helps if you push your hips, shift your weight over the ball of the foot. Right. Don't rely on your heel because you don't have one.
No.
So I did that. I'm like, okay, so I got my balance. I start walking around the costume area. And they had a big, wide, full-length mirror in there, and so I was looking at I hadn't really developed his walk yet because I didn't know how to. And and here's the thing: 30-some years into my career at that point, how do I make this character different than the ones I played before him? I've played aliens before. I want him to be different. And so that posture and all of a sudden my hands started.
Hands, I love.
Well, I had room because my hips were forward. I had room to do this behind me.
Right.
I'm like, I never.
Was that for balance initially?
It was just kind of
just naturally.
Well,
came.
this didn't feel right.
No,
somehow.
right.
That did.
That did.
And it just kind of naturally happened that thank you shoes.
And he was
right?
like,
Thank you, shoes.
yeah.
almost like kelp. Just
It was exactly. Well, you know, he's a kelpian, so he was adept on land with the hoofs, so that gives you he's kind of like an antelope who can outrun the lion.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also got sort of octopusy looking, sort of like water look. You know, he's like a sea creature as well.
Yeah.
So I wanted him to have fluidity, but also be very adept when he runs and plays in the forest.
Beautiful performance.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so.
How was running?
I did. I ran in season 1, and then by the time we got to season 5, I was older, and I had already thrown a knee out and a shoulder out on the show, and I thought I cannot fall one more time. I've only fallen. I fell twice on the show. Out of 5 seasons, I fell twice in those boots, so that's really good.
That's pretty good.
One of them took an ankle out, and it took me a while to recover from that, but I had to keep working. So we bandaged me up, and I got back on set. So anyway, but by the time I was done, I will give all props to my stunt double, Boston Camilleri. Right?
Heck yeah.
That boy.
Those guys.
He's right. He's 25 years
and
younger.
girls.
Yes. Boston is 25 years younger than me. A tall, skinny boy who can take a hit and not break. That's a rare find, so you keep him.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So he did in the final season of Star Trek Discovery, episode 2. I go on an away mission with Burnham, Saru and Burnham alone.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so he's faster than humans, stronger than humans, can see better, hear better than humans. So all this, and I'm in my 60s by now going, I don't feel it.
Right.
Right. So I would do a scene here going, and then jump out, and then Boston Camilleri would come in and do the running and jumping over rocks and diving under logs and whatever it was.
That was in the forest.
It was in a forest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seamless.
Right.
It was great. And he had to run really super fast too. So they did a trick where they had a really super long carpet being pulled by a pickup truck. Boston ran on that carpet while
it's being
in
pulled.
those
while it was
shoes.
in motion. In those shoes, bless his soul. And so he was going, 20 miles and 30 miles an hour while running.
Oh,
It's a great trick, right?
and no rug rash.
And no rug rash. Yeah, that was later. Yeah, in his off time. I don't know.
Well, it was a lovely performance, and I just adored the love relationship you had with.
President Trinneer.
Yeah.
Nah, me too.
She's a lovely actress, isn't she? What's her name?
Tara Rosling.
Tara Rosling, yeah.
Tara Rosling is a Shakespearean-trained stage actress.
Vancouver lady, right?
Toronto.
Yeah.
Well, actually, she's in Niagara on the Falls.
Oh, okay. Is she?
Niagara on the Lake. I'm sorry, Niagara on the Lake.
She's really, it was terrific and so heartfelt.
She's fantastic. Her first day on set when she hologrammed into our bridge we were arriving at her planet, and she beamed aboard kind of to have a chat with us. We were all like, because she stood with such posture and such grace.
She's not a tall lady. Is
No,
she?
she's not tall, but
she
stands tall.
She has
a tall presence.
She's Stratford actor.
presence, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah, so you're right.
Yeah, so and she delivered. Our show, Star Trek, is full of monologues. You all know this.
Yeah.
We all monologue back and forth to each other with tech talk and intricate verbal.
Were they DLP as we called it on our show? Dead letter perfect on your show?
We were. Yeah.
They wanted dead letter perfect on our show.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Because they
antsy about that.
painstaking lengths to write that stuff, and that I couldn't understand anyway. So I better get it right, or I'm gonna I can't riff on that kind of dialogue.
What did you think when you got cast by Brian and Brian leaves?
Yeah.
Right, we did, like a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
The show
Was it as soon as that?
Yeah, it was that soon. Yeah.
He was falling out about the timeline that he thought.
And I don't know, and I still to this day don't really quite know all the reasons why the shift, but
Well, he was right because the timeline stayed. He said he didn't have enough time, and
Okay, there you go.
They didn't have enough time, and although Kurtzman took over and Goldsman,
we got it mounted after all. But
he's a lovely bloke, Brian. He's coming in actually soon.
Is he? Yeah, he's a lovely. I love him dearly. Yeah,
He just lost his mum, sadly.
Oh, did he? I didn't hear that part. Oh, I just saw him at the Nosferatu premiere.
Well, that brings us swiftly
a confusing topic.
That's a confusing topic.
Two Nosferatus out at the same time.
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
It's like in the what was it, the early 90s when they had two like LA volcano movies.
Yeah. Surprising.
Right. But
have you seen the Eggers one?
I was at the premiere of that one.
You were.
And that's where I saw Brian Fuller, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind it, actually. And
I thought it was great. A different take on it. Eggers really expanded the folklore that came into Nosferatu's being.
Right.
And added color and gore and sexiness that the original silent film did not have. And our Nosferatu.
I've seen the trailer.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's more scene for scene from the silent film.
Yeah.
But with verbal dialogue instead of silent, and we were done in black and white, and we were blended in with the old movies.
Amazing.
With CG.
David Lee Fisher.
David Lee Fisher.
And you worked with him on the Cabinet of
Dr. Caligari. Using the same process.
Right.
Old movie, new movie. Put together. So
how does he do that? So you're all green screen.
We're working on a lot of green screen,
right?
And then the old movie, he'll create matte shots off of stills.
How does he get sort of permission to do that?
They're in public domain.
They're in public domain now because they're so.
Nosferatu's over 100 years old.
It's 22, yeah.
Yeah.
It is,
so Cabinet of Dr. Caligari was 1919,
right.
so they're old. So those old movies, the good thing about them to lift imagery from is that a lot of wide shots stayed wide for a long time. They didn't cut in for as many close-ups as we do now, right? So in these wide shots of these old silent movies, actors would move in and out and back and forth, and he could capture what was behind them and remove them all together and have a clean set with no actors in it.
Right.
We're on green screen, plops us into that, right?
Yeah. That's clever, isn't it?
So that's the basics of it. But then he does cut in for close-ups, and we would in Nosferatu, especially my Nosferatu, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, now on Tubi as well for free.
I'm going to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was you delayed the release on account of, let's let the other one dissipate a bit. But
no. Ours came out 2 months before theirs did.
Did it?
Yeah, which was really awkward timing because we did ours years ago, and it just took indie budget, so it took a long time to get out. And
did David know that Eggers was doing it at the time?
Eggers announced that he was going to make this in 2017, I think. So it's been a while, and so I sent emails around that day going, "Do you guys know this? Can we up the game here?" So
rename it.
Yeah. Well, ours is called Nosferatu: A Symphony of Horror. And his is called Nosferatu.
Gotcha.
Right. So if you look us up and like I said, Amazon Prime and Apple TV or Tubi, you'll see the thumbnail is me going in a window. It's black and
red. You
look
fabulous in it, mate.
I didn't recognize myself. The makeup was fantastic.
It's amazing.
So I had a great time with that.
Amazing.
He was my bucket list character. Yeah, I wanted to play.
Really?
Yeah, he was. I hadn't played a whole lot of
sense, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, it does. I hadn't played a vamp years ago when we filmed it. I hadn't played a vampire yet. And I knew I was like, I don't feel sensual enough to be a Dracula because and I don't feel
that's a different vibe.
Different vibe. Yeah. And I wasn't young and sparkly enough to be a Twilight vampire, right? Like the kids do.
Right.
But Nosferatu, he's ugly and withered and and has no idea what he's become.
Yeah.
Right. That I get.
Right.
I understand.
Klaus Kinski's was wonderful too.
Yeah, in the 70s, right? Yeah.
That was my sort of era.
Right.
But I loved that the shadow shot of you going up the stairs and
we recreated a lot of scene for scene, like I said, imagery that you would expect from the first movie. Yeah, so the shadow going up the stairs, and coming up from his coffin in the ship, the famous shot, and also looking up at me from the ship while the one remaining crew member of the ship looks up and he sees in the lightning just standing there looking at him.
I just read Dracula actually. I'd never read it before.
Oh, okay.
I read it over Halloween because I thought
and even and also I the final shot of Nosferatu before he's burned by the sun in the original silent film was grabbing the heart this way and going like this.
All right.
Very melodramatic.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like the Silver Surfer, I wanted to strike those poses that were iconic and famous for him, but I had to find a real way and a genuine way to get into them and out of them. Right. So that was my, to do an homage to the original film, I needed to hit those moments for sure.
Right. Have you ever found yourself watching something and thinking,
Oh, always. Maybe you're watching myself.
Not yourself so much as you know, because you play so many characters that have so much prosthetics and you know, dynamic costuming that that you get into it and everybody goes, we're signing off of this, and you're kind of like,
You've had a yikes moment. This is
Most of my yikes moments are when the human characters that I played. Watching my real face is like, oh god, it's a bad angle.
stop doing that.
Why is the light catching every wrinkle across? Whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
I've said that many times.
We all.
Why am I the mutant amongst really well lit, beautiful people?
It's true. It's true. But we character actors, this is our lot now. Yeah, I know.
Are you more comfortable in one place or the other?
Whether
regarding prosthetics versus just
the older I get, the older the process of prosthetics has gotten.
Yeah,
so I'm now pursuing more human characters than ever. And since I took Saru off on Star Trek Discovery for the last time, I have played humans for the last year and a half. Loving every minute of it.
And I tell you, I mean, Baron Afanas in the
What We Do in the Shadows. Thank you. Another vampire that came along after I filmed those.
He is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I love
you had
him.
to go through some SH1T to get to the human Baron Afanas.
The Baron Afanas had 4 different looks on that show.
He did.
Starting in full prosthetics body, naked.
And then just
stark naked with
half a body.
Yeah, and then I got burned by the sun and broken in half, so charred half a body, and then miraculously brought back to this with a wig, full limbs, and then burned by the sun a second time, so charred that version, and miraculously brought back a 4th time.
But it's beautiful, mate.
Yeah, thank you. I love him doing.
I know Matt Berry a bit from London.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
And he is
hilarious.
He's hilarious, isn't he?
When you're working with the funniest people in the business and the funniest writers in the business, and you get to riff off script to you're encouraged.
You are.
Oh gosh. Well, we'll do it as scripted a couple times, and then they'll say the fun one. So now we just play as much as you want.
Right. So that's amazing.
And they film all of it. Yeah. No, it's great.
What's the New Zealander boy's name who wrote it?
The two that actually helped create the series as well.
Yeah.
They did the movie.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement.
Jermaine Clement. Are they around at all times? A lot
at the beginning, yes. The pilot episode was directed by Taika, and the showrunner at the time, the head writer was Jermaine.
Right.
And then they let it kind of they kept their name attached to it, but then others took over as the seasons progressed. Yeah.
It's a mighty show, I have to say.
Great fun. And that also came to a close this year. So season 6 closed that one out. So I got 2 series that I'm done with now. I'm going,
Well, now
I've been reading a lot of indie scripts. I have, and I've said yes to 7 of them. Whether they get their money together or not, you know how that is.
Right.
So this
I've
year
been about to do 3 movies for about 5 years.
Exactly right. So you're right. So it could be a busy year. It could be a nothing year. I don't know.
German financiers have not called back.
Are they still doing fine?
Yeah, they are. Yes, they are.
Are these human parts? Yeah.
All human parts.
Nice.
The most non-human one I've done was since Saru was an alien in human form, and he wasn't quite pulling it off. So this was a movie called Operation Taco Gary's, and it's a comedy. 2 brothers on a road trip, and one of the brothers is a conspiracy theory about aliens, and the other one is kind of the normal guy. And they're played by Dustin Milligan from Schitt's Creek. He was the veterinarian boyfriend.
Yeah, right.
And Simon Rex from the Scary Movie franchise.
Yeah,
He's a pretty boy who's very funny.
Right.
Both of them very funny and pretty. So they're brothers. And so the Simon Rex character is the one who's kind of like, there's aliens there. So they get to the end of their road trip, and sure enough, they meet me. And I'm the manager of a taco place called Taco Gary's. And that's kind of like the that's the epicenter of our Earth takeover. Right? And so I'm kind of bald capped, gold eye contacts, and dressed funny. I'm wearing when you meet me, and my skin's a little grayish, not totally gray, but a little grayish. So
how much have you found that when you get, because he talks about this when he was on Stargate and he becomes Michael. How much do you find that when you get into the costume itself, it reinforms your interpretation?
It's a combo. Again, another combo platter. You get a lot of information from your script, a lot of information from your director chat, a lot of information from your design, your look, your costuming, your rubber bits if they're glued on you or not. And then on the day, how the scene plays out. It might play out differently than you thought.
Right.
We never know, right?
Right.
The old adage always was, wasn't it? You know, it starts with the shoes.
Yeah. Many actresses, especially, have talked about that with their, stiletto heels makes you feel way different than like tennis shoes, right?
Do you have a room full of the bits? That
Indeed, I've whatever I've been able to save.
Yeah,
I didn't start saving until later years. I didn't ever know that I never knew
they're worth money.
I know. I was like, yeah, you can throw that away. If I knew then what I know now, yeah.
I have some.
I have some.
I want to talk a little bit about that episode of Buffy, the Hush brothers.
Yes.
I called them the Moyle brothers.
What are the Moyle brothers?
The Moyle. Because I've never actually saw the whole episode. I saw a clip of it the other day. And you come in with the knife, and the guy's sprawled out on the table.
Oh yeah.
It looks like you're going to take his.
Cut his heart out.
I know you. No. I thought you were going to cut something else off.
Oh, cut his naughty bits.
The Moyle brothers.
The circumcision.
Yes. Oh, that's a long one.
No,
we could make a sleeping bag out of that.
We were there to collect 7 hearts, right? And yeah. So, but the gentleman.
What season was that of Buffy?
Season 4.
All right, I did 2. Did you? My first job on American TV.
Oh, was it? Okay. Yeah. Well, I thought Frasier was. Now, come on.
Well, that was my Taft-Hartley.
Oh, there's Taft-Hartley.
And then I got...
That was a glorified extra part.
And then I got my full card was, I think, Buffy. And then I went on and did Jungle to Jungle with Tim Allen. Yeah,
okay.
That was my...
Yeah. How fun, right?
I made Buffy history too, because didn't you make some sort of Buffy history with?
It was only a Emmy-nominated episode.
That's right.
Really?
And,
and a fan favorite to this day.
To this day.
And when they make like action figures and Funko Pops, like The Gentleman is one of them.
The Moyle brothers are the.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a guest star of one episode, and it became one of the 4 Funko Pops they made from the entire series.
Well, in convention world, you must have horror.
Do you want to hear a fun fact about the Funko Pop figures specifically?
Yes,
that collectible square box with the bobblehead looking thing in it. Okay. Out of all the actors who have played characters that are now Funko Pops, I have 11 of them. And that holds the record. I think the next person behind me, the Funko company said, they verified this, that the next one behind me was 7.
Wow.
So if I can hang on to that, I don't know. Maybe whoever passes me up is going to be a great. God bless them. Is what I
shall kill them.
Yeah.
Not here.
Yeah, I know. But and Star Trek Discovery being the first of since your show, since Enterprise,
yes,
there hadn't been anything on TV.
Was it 12 years? Someone told me the other day.
Long?
Was it that long? Because
it was at least
we
8.
started 2017.
I think I said 8, and someone said 12.
We were done in 5.
Done in 5. We were 2017.
So it was 12 years.
12 years later.
Jeez.
So So
we
that
thought we killed it.
So right. Turns out you didn't.
Right.
But we were the first of the new wave of shows that then that started on streaming. So that was a whole new era of television.
Yeah.
And so it was a whole. You guys had the advantage of being on television that came through the airwaves. So you had channel flippers that would land on you and go, "Oh, what's this?"
Right.
We didn't have that. You had to
find it.
Find us, right?
But in some ways, that was a better thing that the fandom knew exactly where to find it, and they could find it at any time.
Anytime. Yeah. Right. So there's
that our landscape was changing. UPN was just not the network that it needed to be to sustain a show like that, and we got bumped for
I think
high school football in Texas.
Sure, right.
I mean,
sure.
Yeah, I think there's it's a limited exposure, because if you're searching for it, you're searching for it because you're a Star Trek fan,
right?
And being able to find new audiences, which your show did. And helped spawn the other shows, but
and I think your show has definitely ushered in a new generation.
Oh, for sure.
That wanted some reflection of their world on their Star Trek show rather than the old.
That's not a real rock.
Our budgets were way higher than those old shows.
Did Discovery have
the social element too?
But
also what's happening in the news is happening on the screen. Yeah,
this new technology of this no green screen, but all of
the AR wall,
the scapes,
that's the U-shaped AR wall that had projections.
Amazing.
On it. No, it's amazing technology.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
It must have what a playground. I mean, it must have been a lot.
It was indeed. But yeah, when I look at the it's watching this come together behind the scenes and watching DVD bonus features, you get to, as an audience, you can see how much went into each episode and each moment that they created.
And you had a lovely cast and
like a full movie budget every episode.
Sonequa, what a leader of the pack.
Sonequa Martin Green. We talked about Tara Rosling and my romantic relationship with her on screen, but my brother-sister-like relationship with Sonequa was genuine. We call each other brother and sister to this day.
She's a lovely,
love
lovely
her
lady.
dearly. I'm sure. Yeah. You guys have met her, of course.
Yeah.
She came on.
She's
and,
extraordinary.
Just love
Genuine as can be.
Yeah, she is
her. And a
extraordinary.
bloody good actress.
And a fantastic
Incredible
actress.
actress.
A
Yeah.
leader.
And a leader.
Absolute leader.
On and off camera. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was our, when you have a number one on a call sheet,
Yes.
that is such a team player and such a
makes so much
a gatherer and a maternal type that gets together. She took care of us.
Yeah.
And she became a producer and
Yes.
not many seasons in.
Yeah.
And she was kind of the one who had the actor's voice to the
She was
production.
looking out for the
She
actors.
looked out for us.
Yeah, in
She
the
really
production.
did.
So was Discovery your first series?
No,
a regular?
I've been a regular on Falling Skies before this. Falling Skies was on TNT Network. Again, one of those, didn't want to find us. And it was a 5-season show. I was in the last 3.
Okay.
I was in seasons 3, 4, 5. And I was an alien on that as well. My name was Cochise. And that was starring with Noah Wiley and Will Patton.
Right.
And
Noah's back, I see.
he's back on a medical show.
Doing another medical show. He knows what sells.
Right, no, but I hear it's different than ER. I haven't seen it yet.
It's called The Pit, isn't it?
The Pit. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
I
Yeah.
just saw it on the billboard today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan, talk about a gentleman. Again, another number one on the
Yes.
call sheet that was absolutely wonderful to work with, and he took care of us as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
it's been lovely.
Oh my
It
gosh,
really
are we
has.
done?
I'm trying to think if I think we've uncovered, turned all the stones over.
Well, if I could ask you maybe a deeper question about Discovery, what did you take from it for yourself as the experience, as a person, as an actor, as a representative of someone in the Star Trek universe?
right. A couple things. Yeah, but being the first person to play a new species.
Yes.
Right. Kelpians had
Yeah,
never been seen
Kelpians had
before.
never been done before.
So helping develop that was an honor for me. And also a little bit of stress thinking like, I hope he sticks. I hope he takes. I hope the audience relates to him and can find something in him. Turns out they did.
Yes.
Because he was a prey species on his home planet when you first meet him. And he's the only one who ever broke away from that and joined Starfleet. And in one of those short treks, you'll see my backstory. It's called The Brightest Star. The short treks that they did, the little 20-minute
Yes,
short films.
yes, yeah.
One of them was all about Saru's beginnings. And you'll see me in a hut with my family and how I had a curious gazing at the stars, wondering what else was out there. That I could relate to as a teenager in Indiana. What else is out there for me, right? We all can relate to that
Yes.
when we're young. Like, what's to become of me? Will I be a useful member of society?
Yeah.
Well, Saru had that same wonder, but with a much bigger scope. All of space he was wondering about. So when he jimmied away to make contact, and Michelle Yeoh's Captain Georgiou was then Lieutenant Georgiou back in time, and she shuttled down and took me away, telling me I could never come back because of the Prime Directive. Right, my society didn't know warp technology.
Right.
So if she took me away, I couldn't come back and share what I knew.
Right.
So that whole thing was relatable in a way, like, because we all have decisions to make in life, and sometimes there's no going back with some decisions we make, right? But the fear thing was the biggest driver for me. That he was born into fear. He had threat ganglia that popped out of the back of his head.
Yes.
Whenever he sensed something that he couldn't see it, but he knew something was there.
Right.
This is Doug Jones. This is who I am in real life. I'm terrified of tomorrow if I can't see what's coming. If every time I open the mailbox or open emails, it's like, what's going to be here today that I can't take care of, that I don't know, that's going to take 3 hours of work that I'm going to fail at. One opportunity. I'll have my agent call me for hey, so-and-so wants to talk to you about a movie. I'm like, oh, one more opportunity to fail. Now they're going to find out that I can't act. This is the one. No, this is how I've lived my life. And so Saru lived like that, where you're in fear every day and detecting threats constantly. So, but in season 1 and part of season 2, he lived like that, pushing through that fear to complete his task and his duty for the day. He got through it somehow. And I'm like, okay, I learned a lot from pressing on, even in the midst of fear. Got it. But then in season 2, also, at one point, he was going through Vihari. So his threat ganglia were sprung out and were swollen. And it's like, okay, this is a part of a Kelpian's life. And he explained it all in that episode of season 2, where I die. We get to this point where we go through Vihari, and the predator species on our planet did mercy killings for us. That's how they. But we were duped this whole time. I found out that as being away from my planet and away from the predator species, I'm going through Vihari all by myself. There's no one there to do a mercy killing. So that's why I asked Michael Burnham to come to my quarters. It's time. Can you take this knife and cut my threat ganglia off, and that will be the end of me? Well, she gets to it, and they fall out on their own. And I'm like, right? And so that's why, and all my innate fear, gone. He now has a new courage and confidence he'd never had before. I'm like, oh my gosh, if we could learn how to do that in our human lives, if I could just, nothing around him had changed. His reaction to it had changed. Right. So it's not the stimuli that I'm getting that can ruin my day. It's how I react to it. That's what can either ruin or make my day better.
It's willfulness.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I learned, that's my takeaway.
Lesson.
That's amazing.
And a lot of the fans that I meet on the convention circuit will have that same thing. I totally relate. I deal with anxiety and fear every day. Thank you so much for helping me play through Saru. I said, I'm on the same page. So I relate to the fans on that level for sure.
It fills your heart and breaks your heart at the same time.
Same time, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird how we're I'm an anxious person, and meditation helps.
Right.
And,
Breathing.
And the older we get, the more wise we hopefully become about it's never quite the end of the world.
Right.
You know,
age has brought me that too. A little bit of wisdom on picking your battles more wisely.
Yes.
Right? What's important, what isn't. Yeah.
I've always thought that everything's going to be okay because the alternative is you're dead.
There you go.
I mean, truly.
There you go.
I'll drink to that.
You can work through.
You'll drink to anything.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me.
So wonderful.
You kids.
We're going to see you in a week and a half.
Yeah, are you going to be in San Francisco?
Trek to San Francisco. I'll be there.
Get the dog hug.
Yeah.
More hugs are coming. That's right.
Thanks for coming in, mate.
Thank you so much for having
You're a
me.
huge talent.
Thank you.
And, I wish you all the best for the future.
Oh, you too. I wish the same for you.
Yeah, thank you, mate. I wish I was tall and skinny. God.
No, he got you right too. He did.
He
That's
did.
okay.
That's
Okay.
right.